I think I just got another promotion. I think he introduced me as Senator Bat. It's okay, the governor introduced me as Speaker Bat when he was swearing me in, so we're good. Good morning, everyone. It's actually a great morning. I was checking the weather this morning. I believe it's going to be a high of only in the low 90s, if we can say that. So if anyone's feeling a chill, we've got some blankets inside, and we can make you more comfortable. I guess I'll go ahead and get started. I want to welcome everyone to the rededication ceremony for the latest phase of the John F. Kennedy Memorial Highway Improvement Program, which is the reconstruction of the I-95 toll plaza and the establishment of highway speed easy pass lanes. My name is Shailen Bat, and I am the Secretary of Transportation, and I was sworn in by Governor Jack Markell just a few weeks ago. Now this morning we obviously have a pretty distinguished group of people sitting at the front here. We're joined by United States Senators Tom Carper and Chris Coons, United States Congressman Carney, Federal Highway Administrator Victor Mendez, and of course my new boss, Governor Jack Markell. I have to say I am very pleased that this is one of my first public acts, the rededication of this toll plaza. When I first became a candidate for the job, when people would find out about it in DC, they would say things like, well, as soon as you get confirmed, get those toll booths fixed, or some variation of that. I am sure that, well, we're not going to hang any mission accomplished banners back here. I think everyone's very proud of the fact that we are able to move forward. Now, nearly 50 years ago, on November 14th, 1963, President John F. Kennedy stood only a few hundred yards down the road, and with then Delaware Governor Burt Carvel, and with Governor Millard Tawes of Maryland, dedicated the first Delaware section of I-95. There, standing on the boundary separating the two states, President Kennedy spoke to the gathering on what was to be his last public speech on a public works project. And he said, and I quote, "No industry has a greater impact upon the nation, and no industry has a greater opportunity to affect our economic progress. This highway symbolizes, I believe, first of all, the partnership between the federal government and the states, which is essential to the progress of all of our people. Secondly, it symbolizes the effort we have made to achieve the most modern interstate highway system in the world. And third, it symbolizes the effort for which we are giving and must be giving to organizing an effective communication system here in the United States." Now, 48 years later, President Kennedy's words are just as relevant. Back in 1963, the Newark Toll Plaza was considered state-of-the-art and designed not only to facilitate the traffic of the day, but also to accommodate future growth. But not even President Kennedy could foresee the traffic realities of the Northeast corridor of the United States of today. Without question, the toll plaza had become antiquated. During holidays, the traffic on I-95, the counts can reach up to 250,000 vehicles per day. Back in 1963, they were looking at 12,000 vehicles a day. Now, Interstate 95 is much more than a local road in Delaware or a regional roadway in the Northeast. It is a vital part of a transportation network that gives our nation a competitive advantage. Today, our businesses and citizens are competing in a global marketplace. We need to make sure we are making the strategic investments necessary to keep the arteries of our economy flowing smoothly. Now, I'm glad to say that as part of the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, or the Federal Stimulus Program as it's commonly known, these goals have been met and the project has been completed. Both Senator Carper and Governor Markell will elaborate on how without this federally funded program we would not be standing here today. Now, these improvements to the toll plaza are only one of several phases of a multi-year, multi-project improvement program substantially upgrading Delaware's portion of I-95. These include construction of the Churchman's Road Bridge over I-95, the recently completed addition of a fifth lane in both directions from State Routes 1 and 7 to the I-95-295 split just south of Wilmington, and finally there is the recently announced project to improve the Route 1 I-95 Mall interchange to eliminate the cloverleaf and the dreaded cattle chute ramp off I-95, and that project will begin later this year. The completion of this toll project will not only benefit people traveling through the plaza, but also those who work here every day. United States Transportation Secretary Ray LaHood is fond of saying that at DOT, safety is our #1 priority. We at DelDOT share this focus. I would like to say a very heartfelt thank you to the 74 DelDOT employees of this toll plaza. As you can imagine, I had pause for applause after this quote, so thanks for jumping on that, Jennifer. As you can imagine, they have encountered many challenges during this construction project and have met those challenges with the utmost professionalism and courtesy. Congratulations must also be given to Newark-based contractor Adel Construction for a job well done. They were able to beat the projected 479 calendar day contract by over a month. The Federal Highway Administrator has created an initiative called Everyday Counts. EDC was designed to identify and deploy innovation aimed at shortening project delivery, enhancing the safety of our roadways, and protecting the environment. By working around the clock with the combined dedication and hard work of the I-95 Toll Plaza personnel, Adel was able to do just that and to achieve their goal by having the plaza open and fully functional for the Independence Day holiday weekend. Now, before I introduce Governor Markel, I want to identify another special person who is with us today. During the first few weeks on the job, I've been constantly told about the Del family, and I have a great example of something that brings that home. We have with us today Debbie Cooper. Rach, go ahead and stand up, Debbie. Debbie Cooper has been a toll collector here at I-95 for nearly 30 years. And the interesting thing is, though, is that Debbie's father, Joseph, was the toll collector who in 1963 greeted the first car that came through this toll plaza. And Debbie's father is seen on that one right there. There he is accepting the first toll. So they've been serving Delaware motorists for over 50 years. And this is a great example of the Del family. And from the Del team, we want to thank you for your service to the state. So before I close this morning, I want to invite the guest speakers following the ceremony, as well as members of the press, to join John Osborne, our Easy Pass Toll Systems Administrator, and myself on a tour of the new facility. It is now my distinct pleasure to welcome my new boss, Governor Jack Markel.
Well, thank you, Secretary Batt. It's got to be nice after a few weeks to be able to say, look at how my first project went. It's great to be here with our entire congressional delegation. I was saying to Victor Mendez from the Federal Highway Administration, how many states can you get to see the entire congressional delegation and the governor at events like this? And I think that's one of the things that makes Delaware so great. But to Senator Carper, Senator Coons, Congressman Carney, always good to be with you guys, and my guess is you'd much rather be in Delaware right now than in Washington, D.C. And Victor, again, Victor was actually up here just a few weeks ago when Shailen was sworn in, so we really appreciate your being back. A few other elected officials. I want to acknowledge Paul Clark, who is our Newcastle County Executive. We know how important this is to the county. Great to see you. A couple of legislators who I see. Senator Bethany Hall Long. Representative Earl Jakes, thanks to both of you. Are there other legislators here that I've missed? They know I get in big trouble if I miss any legislators. I also want to acknowledge Jen Cohen. Jen, just stand up for a second. Jen runs the Division of Motor Vehicles, and Shailen was not joking a few minutes ago when he said he wanted to acknowledge the 74 people from DMV who had worked on this, and she immediately started to applaud. I'm going to mention a number of them by name in a few minutes, but the kind of teamwork that she fosters and encourages is exactly what we want for all of state government. So Jen, I do want to thank you for the great job that you do. Senator Carper and I were here a few weeks ago. It was the morning of July 1st, and I know because I had been up very late that morning, the previous morning, to close out the General Assembly. But we decided we wanted to come and sort of check the whole thing out. And we had a great tour, and I say that because I just can't say enough about the work of Senator Carper in getting this done. I mean, this is something that, when you talk about persistence, this is a project that Senator Carper had envisioned probably for a couple of decades. Probably when he was state treasurer, certainly when he was congressman, absolutely when he was governor, and then for 10 years in the Senate. And he fought so hard, along with others, for the Recovery Act funding that made this possible, and Secretary Batch said it right. I mean, you can say whatever you want about the Recovery Act, this would not happen. If not for the Recovery Act and the $32 million that it provided for this project, we could be standing here right now and we'd be getting a lot of ugly looks from people who were in line. And so I very much want to thank Senator Carper for his long support to make this happen. Senator Coons and Congressman Carney, very worthy partners with him going forward, but I can't really say enough. So Senator, let's hear it for Senator Carper. One of the other great things about this project, I mean, we all know we can only have a strong economy going forward if we have a strong transportation infrastructure, and the best projects are those that put people to work now so that people can go to work over the long term. And Shaylin did mention the folks from ADEL, but what a great job. And ADEL is a Delaware company with, I understand, 300 Delaware employees who worked on this project. They did an incredible job. I mean, really, and if you take the tour, you'll see what a fantastic job they did. We were actually a little bit early this morning, so I didn't care about the $8 I was going to have to pay for that toll. So we went through both ways to check it out, and just, I mean, what a beautiful job. And let's hear it again for the Delaware-based ADEL. And I know that doesn't make anybody happier than John Casey standing back there. John, who runs the Delaware Contractors Association, comes in to see me fairly frequently. I wouldn't say to complain, but I would say to push, to make sure that as many of these projects go to Delaware workers as possible. And he's absolutely right to do that. And I so much appreciate the work that DelDOT did to make that possible. But especially to ADEL, what a great advertisement for what Delaware contractors are capable of. I mentioned the 74 DelDOT people, and Shaylin mentioned briefly what it is that they had to put up with. They showed incredible perseverance. They worked 3 shifts. I love this idea of the, what do you call it, the EDC, the early...
Everyday counts. Everyday
counts. It sounds like a great initiative. A few other projects around, we could use that everyday counts approach as well to get things done quickly. But the DelDOT, these 74 DMV DelDOT people did an unbelievable job. And they suffered a lot. They had things thrown at them. They were spit on. They endured verbal abuse from angry motorists. It's sort of hard for many of us who don't have to. Well, actually, politicians, we have to deal with that too. But for those of us who don't, to imagine what you guys had to put up with, especially at those very close environments. So we really appreciate all that you did. I want to mention a few of them as well as a few other people. First, here who runs this this operation, Mike Haddadin. Mike, thank you. Great job. Thank you. Darren O'Neill, who's a group engineer, project development. Let me run through all the names. We can save the applause for the end. Thomas Clements, who's the assistant director of construction. Javier Torrijos, who's a group engineer. Did I get the pronunciation right on that? Good. Vernon Lawton, who's the area engineer. John Osborne and Wayne Hamilton. So those are all DelDOT folks. Let's hear it for them. From ADEL, Barry Baker and Ken Monroe. Barry and Ken, thank you very much. From AECOM, Bruce Kay, Sam Bostic, and Donnie Poor. From the Federal Highway Administration, we already, Victor Mendez, Hazan, thank you for being here as well as Dan Montag. From KCI Technologies, Dave Westrom. And then from Whitman, Ray Quart and Associates, Brian Riffle, Neil Levy, and John Gunther. So obviously a lot of people, a lot of others who I did not introduce, but once again, let's hear it for all the people who made this project happen. What I can tell you for sure is we are a whole lot more popular than we were a month ago. I can't tell you how many complaints I got, not so much from people in Delaware, but from people in the region who had to drive up and down here. And John Carney said he wanted to come today just so he could see it in person, so when he gets to sit together with all of his colleagues in the House, he can say he's heard enough, it is working. But it's a great welcome at for the state of Delaware. We have so many wonderful things to show off in our state. And what better way now to welcome people to Delaware than by them being able to drive on this road. Shaylin called it a highway speed. I hadn't really heard it referred to as that. Are we taking people's? Are we taking their speed as they go through?
We can.
We can. I don't think we do, but we can. But to welcome people in this way is just terrific. And to all the people who made this possible, I want to say a big thank you. One last person I want to thank who's not here, and that's Secretary Wicks. When the stimulus funding became available, and DelDOT got a big chunk of it, and we went over all the project-ready projects, Secretary Wicks, probably because she had heard so many times from Senator Carper, but Secretary Wicks was really a big champion for getting this thing done. This was by far our biggest project from the stimulus funding, but it was money very, very well spent. So to the entire DelDOT, the federal government team, to the congressional delegation, to the workers, the vendors, all of you, thank you so much for making for the traveling public such a huge, huge improvement for the people of Delaware. Thank you all so much. And with that, it gives me really great pleasure to introduce Victor Mendez, his second time in Delaware within a month, and we're just delighted to have him here from the Federal Highway Administration.
Thank you very much. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Governor. I do want to say it's a real pleasure to be back in Delaware. We've done a lot of good work here in Delaware through our FHWA staff, and we'll continue to work very closely with all of you. It's also a good time to really mark another major milestone here in transportation history for Delaware. And I do want to say one thing. Secretary Ray LaHood does send his regards and his regrets. He was supposed to be here today. But I think, as many of you may know, my sister agency, the Federal Aviation Administration, was partially shut down over the weekend due to some congressional inaction. And so he is back home doing his homework, trying to untangle that issue there. I do want to say that not only is it my first, Governor, as you mentioned, my first event where I've had the entire congressional delegation all together, but it's also my first event where all the speakers are in the same uniform. So this is great. Let me just say a couple of words of appreciation for a lot of what you're doing. First of all, I do want to thank Secretary Batt, one of our great friends, and really one of the most outstanding young public servants in America. And so thank you, Shaylin, for inviting us back. I do appreciate that. I do want to convey a very, very huge thank you to Senator Tom Carper. You've been fighting, as the governor mentioned, to clear the logjam here on I-95 for many decades. So, Senator, we would not be here without your vision, your persistence, and of course your leadership. I do appreciate everything you're doing. When you think about that persistence, what that means is that the people of Delaware and drivers up and down the East Coast really do owe you a debt of gratitude for everything you've done over the years. Of course, we also look forward to working with Senator Coons, who already called me a couple of times, and Congressman Carney as we move forward on transportation issues, not only here in Delaware, but really throughout the entire nation. As we continue to look forward for transportation, we will certainly look forward to working with all of you in what we're attempting to do. Now, in a moment, we will be officially cutting the ribbon on Delaware's new state-of-the-art I-95 Toll Plaza. Now, when we do that, we're also going to shatter one of the most costly and frustrating traffic bottlenecks in the country. As you all very well know, almost 150,000 cars per day and more than 3 million trucks per year travel along this vital economic corridor. So the innovative technology that is now in place will allow the state to collect its tolls without so much as slowing the cars and trucks that are passing through here. It is a great example of what the Obama administration is doing with communities throughout the entire country. We're trying to spur economic opportunity while laying a foundation for economic competitiveness. Already, we've put tens of thousands of workers on 15,000 roadway, railway, transit, and airport job sites throughout the nation have been put back to work. As the governor mentioned right here, we have about 300 of the workers that actually helped build this remarkable facility here. And because of these and other efforts, an economy that was shedding jobs is now once again creating them. In fact, it has created 2.1 million private sector jobs during the last 16 months. And there's no doubt that we really have a long ways to go. We're not satisfied where we are today. There are too many families across America that are still feeling the sting of unemployment and really hardship. And probably all of us here today know somebody that is probably looking for a job or may have been unemployed for a period of time. And that's why America really needs a transportation jobs bill. We need to continue to put our friends and neighbors to work repairing crumbling roads, bridges, and transit systems, and really building the safest, fastest, and most efficient ways of moving people and commerce throughout the entire nation. Now, obviously, we still face a few hurdles in Washington. Secretary Batt and the delegation, we know what those hurdles are, and we need to continue working on that. But at a time when so many construction workers are looking for jobs, this is the moment to really pass comprehensive, fiscally responsible legislation that puts Americans to work rebuilding our country. We all agree on this, Democrats, Republicans, and Independents, and all of us are looking forward to getting this done for the American people. After all, each succeeding American generation has demonstrated the foresight and the courage to invest in the most important transportation projects of their time. We can do no less, whether it's keeping traffic flowing up and down the East Coast or any of the countless other investments that enable people to lead their lives, build their businesses, and really keep the economy rolling. So my message is very simple. We can still do big things in America. We can still solve big transportation challenges. We can once again make this nation's transportation system the envy of the world. And I'm proud to join you as we continue to do exactly that today. And one other thing I do want to mention before I close is my regular safety reminder to all of you as you travel throughout our nation's transportation system. I want to remind all of you to please buckle up. Put away your cell phones when you're driving. If Secretary LaHood was here today, he would be talking about distracted driving. He is passionate about that issue, and we ask you to join us in that initiative. And then just very simply, drive carefully. So with that, thank you all very much for being here. I appreciate that. Now, our next speaker, as I mentioned, is really a great advocate for transportation, has been a great advocate for many, many decades. He is a member of the Senate Environment and Public Works Committee, and he is the state's senior senator. Let's give a big welcome to Senator Carper. Thank you, Senator. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Ricky, don't sit down. Don't sit down. I'm going to ask John Carney, Chris Coons, Jack Markell, our new Secretary Speaker Bot. I'm going to ask them to all stand. I want to just get this is a real photo up here. Look at this. Victor, the way it works in Delaware, I don't know how it is in other states, but every night, like last night, our spouses connect on email. They agree on what we're supposed to wear, and the rest is up to us to get the right clothes on. So, and some days it works, some days it doesn't. Speaker Bot, right? That's what the Speaker Bot. Jack Markell has a new title these days as well, and he is not just His Excellency the Governor of Delaware, but he's also the brand new, newly minted Vice Chairman of the National Governors Association. I think that is a great thing for us, for him, for our state. And we're very, very proud of him and wish him well. There's been two other people in the history of our state that have become Chairman of the NGA, and so he will be, God willing, number 3. If Ted Kaufman were here, Ted was Chris's immediate predecessor for 2 years and succeeded Joe Biden. We did together a lot of stimulus events, Mr. Secretary, all over the state. The governor was with us, and those stimulus events, Ted Kaufman, if he were here, he would say the Recovery Act stimulus package is all about jobs, jobs, jobs. That's what he'd say. Some of us have heard him say that again and again and again, and it is. But not just make work jobs. This is not about make work jobs. This is about jobs that serve a good public purpose. What kind of public purpose might that be? Well, one of the public purposes is to save people time. The kind of congestion that people had to live with for years for decades, coming here on Thanksgiving weekend and 4th of July weekend, you name it, Christmas and holiday weekend, and to sit in line for sometimes 10, 20, 30 minutes for the right, the privilege of paying us money to go through our state. I think it was abhorrent. It was a badge of shame, and I worked with Secretary Ann Canby and some of our legislators when she was our DelDOT secretary back in the 1990s. We went to Easy Pass. The idea was to try to expedite the movement of cars, trucks, and vans through here, and it helped. But we're just overwhelmed with 140,000 vehicles on a holiday weekend. It's just way too. And even then, when Ann was our secretary, she said, you know, what we really want to do is what we're doing on State Route 1, Highway Speed Easy Pass. And we haven't been able to put it together, didn't have the money. This is not free. This cost about $36 million. A lot of it came out of the stimulus package. Some other, maybe 3 or 4 million came. 3 or 4 million. There we go. 3 or 4 million came from other federal monies, but it's all federal money. What public purposes are served? One, we save people a lot of frustration and time, so they don't have to sit in line in our state to pay us money to get through our state. The second thing we do is we save a lot of gas, a lot of fuel. At the time, in a day and age, when over 60% of our oil that we consume in this country comes from places off of our shores. A lot of our money goes to undemocratic, unstable nations that I think use our money to hurt us. This will actually reduce our consumption of oil. Third thing that comes from this, we live at the end of America's tailpipe here on this part of the United States. All those states in the Midwest, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Kentucky, West Virginia, Tennessee, they burn coal. They get cheap electricity. They put pollution up in the air. We have to, comes over here, we have to cut down on our emissions. We have to spend money to make up for their emissions. It's just not fair. It's just not fair. And earlier this month, the EPA passed a regulation, put in place a new regulation to fix that problem so that we don't have to live at the end of America's tailpipe anymore. This will help reduce emissions too from our cars, trucks, and vans. A huge help there. And the last thing, and I don't know if it was Secretary or I think or the governor, but one of them talked about safety. One of them talked about safety. I think it was the Secretary. And I pull up in this place any number of years, going south, going north, and people are moving back and forth, jockeying for position, trying to get into a lane and get ahead of somebody else. Now, we set these things back, the approaches back a mile or so people can move over in the left lane. They have an easy pass, highway speed easy pass. They get in the left lane, they cruise. And now what's the number? 55% of the folks are using I-95 going to highway speed easy pass. And that number will only go up in the years to come. So for all those reasons, there's a lot of good public purposes. Plus 300 people went to work. And 300 people had a good job for a year doing all this and making this possible. Let's put our hands together for them as well. And whether you happen to be the folks who built this project, who made it happen, folks from the state side, from DelDOT, the folks from the Federal Highway Administration, our colleagues who voted for the stimulus package, the Vice President and President who signed it into law, a big thank you. I'll close with this. Have you ever shaken hands with somebody and they had like an awful handshake? Have you ever shaken hands with somebody like a dead fish handshake and they didn't look you in the eye? One of the things I most do, the governor and Chris and John and I go into schools a lot, and we shake a lot of hands with kids. Paul Clark too, we shake, a lot of the legislators shake a lot of hands with kids. And it's not often that the kids, well, they don't know how to shake hands. And what I'll do in a lot of schools, especially with elementary kids, we do a little tutorial. And I'll have one of the kids, I'm sorry. And I'll do a little tutorial, like we did it the other day with a 3rd grade. We're doing honor roll recognition. And about the 3rd kid that came through to get her certificate, they didn't know what hand to shake with. They didn't know where to look. Dead fish handshake. I just stopped you right there. And I said, okay, which hand do we shake with? Everybody says, right hand. Okay, raise it up. Half of them raised the left hand, but we finally got down to the right hand. And I said, okay, when you shake hands, you're like a dead fish, you're like squeeze the hand. What do? Squeeze the hand. Good. Third thing, when you look at somebody and you're shaking their hands, you look at the top of their heads, their feet, their belly button. What do you look at? And the kid said, look them in the eye. After that, I shook about 40 more hands. Every kid, right hand, squeeze, and there we go. And look me right in the eye. Those are first impressions. I said to those kids, you know, you only get one chance in life with a lot of people to make a good first impression. For so many people over the years, their impression of Delaware has been sitting in line in traffic here, wasting their time, wasting their fuel, trying to get through our state and being asked to pay a lot of money to do that. That's a first impression. That's not the kind of first impression that we want to make. We want people to come through, cruise through here and say, oh, Delaware. We want to get to the Welcome Center and say, what a beautiful Welcome Center, the loveliest Welcome Center in the nation, brand new. We want them to say, oh, well, they have a riverfront. I went up the other, and it looks like a baseball stadium here. And they stop, they want to find out, they can find out this is the home of tax-free shopping. And not only can they take advantage of that at the riverfront and see one of the winningest minor league baseball teams in the last 25 years play ball, they can go to Christiana Mall, to Christiana Mall and take advantage of tax-free shopping there. They can work their way past the Port of Wilmington, maybe go take a look at the Port of Wilmington, top banana port in the world, Port of Wilmington. They can work their way south in our state and go by the Dover Air Force Base, one of the 2 outstanding Air Force bases in the world, top 2 Air Force bases in the world. They could, go ahead, great, Earl Jakes. Earl Jakes, raise your hand over here. Earl Jakes is a state legislator. He's also a retired general of the Delaware National Guard. There have been 2 people in the history of our state who have been a legislator and a general. And the other one was Caesar Rodney. How about that? That's pretty good company, isn't it? All right, Earl. And further south there, if people want to go to beaches, we're down in Rehoboth this weekend. There are 4 beaches that were singled out in the whole country, being great beaches, clean water, great beaches. 2 of them are in Delaware. Rehoboth Beach and Dewey Beach. Dewey Beach, a way of life. Great. And when people come here, I want them to know we were the colony of New Sweden. That the first Swedes and Finns that came to this place came into Wilmington, Delaware, made it the colony of New Sweden. I want people to know that we have a beautiful colonial village down in Old Newcastle, which is our first state capital. I want them to know that down at the Green in Dover, there was a David Finney, not David Finney, that was where my wife and I had our wedding reception. There's a Golden Fleece Tavern in Dover, Delaware, right on the Green, where the Constitution was first ratified. I want them to know that Caesar Rodney rode his horse from down there all the way to Philadelphia to cast a tie-breaking vote for the Declaration of Independence. We want them to know that the Dickinson Plantation just south of the Dover Air Force Base, a guy named John Dickinson was the penman of the Revolution, inspired the Revolution. And we want them to know down in Lewis, Delaware, the Dutch came ashore there 370 years ago. One of the oldest houses in the entire nation is right there in Lewis, Delaware. We want people to know all those things. And we want them, when they come through here, not to just say, God, I hate this place. We want them to say, I want to get off this turnpike. I want to find out what the rest of the state is about. And we're going to make a good impression. And I believe they're going to like what they see. And maybe someday we'll even have a national park to celebrate it all. What do you think? All right. Well, one of the people who knows more than, certainly more than I do about infrastructure, not just road, highway, bridge infrastructure, but infrastructure, water sewers, sewer systems, is our junior senator, Chris Coons. One smart cookie, a great addition to the U.S. Senate. We love working together. We got a delegation here with Chris and John, where we're not just friends, we're not just colleagues, we love each other. We love each other. We cover each other's backs. We work together, and it's a great partnership with our governor and our lieutenant governor. Most states, they like to work that way. They don't. But in Delaware, we do. Chris Coons.
I made sure I gave him a really good handshake. Who says we all look the same? I mean, come on, I've got a little bit of green, John's got a little stripe, Secretary Bat's got a little bit of a stripe with a little edge. Yeah, we all got the memo. Thank you so much for the opportunity to join the delegation, the Governor, Administrator Mendez, Secretary Bat, at celebrating this amazing opening. Robert Moses and President Kennedy were here when the governors of Maryland and Delaware shook hands at this spot and recognized the enormous investment, as you've heard from the speakers before me, in improving public safety, in moving folks through expeditiously, in reducing the use of gas and fuels, and in making this safer. And today we are celebrating a wise investment by another generation of Americans in making it easier, faster, safer, happier to have a positive, as it were, handshake when you come through the state of Delaware. As I was sharing with Governor Markel, a mutual friend of ours, a state senator from rural Iowa, called me 3 years ago to yell at me for 15 minutes as he and his family were caught for nearly an hour in 4th of July weekend traffic. I kept saying to him, it's not a county road, honest, it's not a county road. But Governor, now Senator Carper, has something clearly in hand when he recognizes that for a generation, The backup at this toll has been a real drag on our economic development, on our reputation as a state, and on its impact, not just on the folks who come through here, but on the folks who serve here. I was grateful for the recognition given previously to Jen, to Darren, to Debbie, to everybody who is part of the family of public service at DelDOT. You have done an amazing job. The compliments I hear from folks once they would get through the tolls didn't quite make up for the delay, but you pulling together have delivered a remarkable public service in re-engineering this site, in delivering in partnership with ADEL and KCI and the folks who did the engineering, and on time, ahead of time, on budget, under budget project that is an exemplar of what it is we can do in America when we all pull together. I'm a member, please. To the administrator who's here today from Washington again, I hope you see in Delaware the way we do things. We pull together, we listen to each other, we support each other, and we get things done. I'll tell you frankly, as a member of the Senate Budget Committee, I am embarrassed at our failure in Congress between Republicans and Democrats, the House and the Senate, to pull together and deliver what Delawareans expect. It never happens that we fail to deliver a balanced budget at the city, county, or state level in this state on time. And the idea that the Federal Aviation Administration is shut down in part today, and that Secretary LaHood can't be with us today because he's tending to that vital national interest, is of grave concern to me. There are members of the House and Senate who are saying on national television last week and up to today that defaulting on America's mortgage is not a threat to our future. That is reckless and irresponsible. And it's my hope that as our senior senator, our congressman, and I return to Washington this week, we will with clarity address this biggest challenge. The bond markets, the bond rating agencies have given us a clear signal. If we don't deal with our deficits and debt, they will downgrade us. And America is not a junk bond nation. Our public employees, our public generally, our children and our future deserve better than that. I know that we can and will pull together and address this. And as you heard from the senior senator, I am confident that we will embrace the administrator and the secretary's vision federally and continue to invest responsibly in education, in innovation, and in infrastructure. This rededication today is a reminder of why it's important that we continue to work together to invest so that America can have the infrastructure that moves people, goods, and ideas as fast or faster than all of our competitors around the world. It is my hope that Washington will learn something from Delaware and that we will find a way to get past this current impasse and to move things forward in the Congress as fast as we're moving things forward on I-95 here today. To everybody at DelDOT who helped make this possible, to Secretary Batt, to Governor Markell, and to Administrator Mendez, thank you so much for your leadership. And to Senator Carper, who's had the clear vision of the importance of this project for a generation, thank you for your leadership in getting it done. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to introduce a friend, a partner, a colleague, someone who I know in the House faces frustrations and challenges every bit as much as we see in the Senate, someone who I ride Amtrak with every day, our Congressman, my friend and neighbor, Congressman John Carney.
Well, thank you very much, Senator Coons. I'm just happy to be here for a lot of different reasons. You know, we have a lot of events that we can attend to each day. And when we go through the scheduling, my scheduler told me about this event, and I knew that Senator Carper and the governor had been out here before. I knew all the work that the senator and the delegation with Senator Kaufman had put into it. I said, you know, I haven't had anything to do with this project. Why do they want me to come? But I'm happy to be here because it's nice to be with people who know how to work together to get things done, as we do here in Delaware. And you see that with the governor working with local government, all the government officials, with the DCA, the contractors, Federal Highway Administration. Good to see you, and with our new Secretary of DelDOT. So I decided really to come for three reasons. One, there's a lot of pressure on the only congressman to be here to have a full delegation representative. We have two senators, only one congressman. I got to be there at all the events to have a full delegation. And two, as I've met my colleagues in Washington, they've said two things to me. One, they said, well, who do you replace? They'd always ask me that question. I said, well, I replaced Mike Castle. They said, oh, Mike Castle, we love Mike Castle. I said, what am I, chopped liver? So I'm here because I know that Mike Castle worked on this project as well with Senator Kaufman and Senator Carper, and it's good to be here in the position that Mike held. The second thing my colleagues would say to me was, and by the way, could you fix that toll on I-95? So I'm here today, as the governor said, to verify that, in fact, the toll plaza here has been fixed and that the traffic up here in the Northeast Corridor is going to move quickly through this, what was a very terrible bottleneck. It's also an opportunity for me here to congratulate the governor on a tremendous choice as the new Secretary of DelDOT. This is probably, Secretary Bob, probably the most difficult and maybe the most important position in state government. I know a little bit about state government, having worked for Senator Carper when he was governor as his deputy chief of staff and secretary of finance, and then being lieutenant governor for 8 years. And so I know that you're coming into a very difficult job. You have great employees that are here today, and they've all been recognized, and the hundreds, I guess, more that aren't here that are out there doing their jobs. You have great partners in the construction industry and in local and municipal government. But at the end of the day, secretaries of transportation are really measured on how effective they are in getting projects like this one done. So you're here, what, a couple weeks, and you already got this one off the list? That's a pretty good job. I remember when I worked for then Governor Carper, he had a whole list of projects. He didn't want to add any more onto the list. 896, 273, Namens Road, Route 1. He had the whole list, the 5th line on I-95. And these projects predated my public service career, some of them. And I'm sure that this project here came on that list when Tom Carper was governor. And that's the last reason that I'm happy to be here, to see the smile on his face as this job gets completed. Thank you to everybody who's made this possible. Have a great day.